இல்லை இப்போ கூட போகணும் சரி இருக்கவர டேபிள் தள்ளிட்ட வந்துட்ட கேட்குறேன்
கொஞ்சம்
டேபிளில் நான் சரி எஸ்
समझे प्रणाम
नमस्ते
प्रणाम हाँ सब हाँ सब
என்ன வாட்சிங்க ओम स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. The last time we had started the life of Swami Trigunatītānandaji Maharaj, another monastic disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. There are some more incidents in his life. Narrating it, today we shall conclude his life. Swamiji, that is Swami Vivekananda, had infinite faith in Swami Trigunatītānanda. Number one, his spiritual progress God realization, secondly, his boldness, thirdly, his dedication to Sri Ramakrishna's work. Whatever work he used to take up, sincerely he used to believe that these are all Sri Ramakrishna's work and it is as equal as spiritual practice. So he was not worried about his health, time, or whether he gets time for spiritual practice. All those things were secondary. And also he has accepted wholeheartedly Swami Vivekananda. He had full faith that Sri Ramakrishna is working through him. So whatever Swamiji says, he used to believe it is Sri Ramakrishna's telling. However, because of his faith and also Swamiji's confidence in Swami Trigunathitanandaji, Swamiji achieved many things in the work of the Ramakrishna mission. Now, Swamiji was always feeling that the message of Sri Ramakrishna can be spread much through literature, much through magazines. So while he was in America itself, he was contemplating and starting a magazine, and it worked out. It is at Madras, a Brahmavadin. Later it became Prabuddha Bharata. An English magazine was started. So when he came to Calcutta and when he was doing the preaching work, he felt that we should have a magazine in Bengali. Today we have a number of magazines in different languages. However, that Swami Vivekananda, one day MacLeod gave him 1,000 rupees for his missionary work. Immediately he handed it over to Swami Trigunathitananda and he called him and he said, you see, you start a magazine in Bengali. To start a magazine in any language, is the people, those who have worked for it, those who have started and continued it, they understand the difficulties. We know there are so many magazines and newspapers started and also ended also. And especially the religious magazine. It is not a political, it is not a social, it is not a general, but it is a religious, spiritual magazine. You will understand how difficult it is to start, but like a true servant of Swami Vivekananda, like a true soldier of Sri Ramakrishna, with the 1,000 rupees, Swami Trigunathitanandaji purchased a printing press. You can well understand, to print a magazine and within your own press, how difficult it is. How he did not mind the difficulties. He purchased a small hand press and also rented a room and in which the press was started. And he was he was the editor, he was the printer, he was the proofreader, he was also used to collect articles from others and do all the works of the press for himself. And single-handedly, he started that magazine. Somehow, with great difficulty, you can print a magazine, but where to distribute? How to get his subscriptions? He used to walk after the morning work. He will go house to house, canvass for the magazine, and sometimes he used to walk 10 miles a day to get subscribers for that magazine. Because of his Herculean task, that magazine came, and Swami Vivekananda himself named that magazine as Udbodhan in Bengali. Udbodhan means awakening. You will be surprised to hear, even today, that magazine exists and the magazine continues to be printed and it is one of the most popular spiritual magazine in Bengali, with a subscribers of about nearly 1 lakh subscribers are there today, and it has completed a century. You can well understand then what is all the devotion which Swami Trigunatitananda put for that work, how it is fulfilling. And so one day Swami Vivekananda, he was not only that, he was doing all sorts of work. Press was only a side work for him. He used to work so hard. One day Swami Vivekananda's disciple, who was closely associated with Swami Trigunatitananda, he told Swamiji, Swamiji, it is impossible for any other man to exert himself as Swami Trigunatitananda is doing for the magazine. Swamiji heard that. Then he said, in reply, Swamiji said, do you think these monastic children of Sri Ramakrishna are born simply to sit for meditation under trees, lighting dhuni fires? Whenever any of them will take up some work, people will be astonished to see their energy. Learn from them how to work. Look, everything is to carry out. Look, Trigunatita. He has given up his spiritual practices, his meditation, and everything to carry out my orders. And he has set himself to work as if work is it a matter of small sacrifice? He will not stop short of success. So he made that magazine really a successful one. Swamiji, why disciple? But sir, it looks rather odd in our eyes that monks in ochre robes should go about from door to door as the Swami is doing. For subscription's sake, he used to go house to house and also to beg for his food. So it is really, it was looking a little odd for the other public. So this disciple commented, Swami, why? The circulation of the magazine is only for the good of the householders. The masses will benefit by the spread of these new ideas in the country. Do you think this unselfish work is in any way inferior to devotional practices? Our object is to do good to the humanity. Because Swami Vivekananda fully believed in the master's work, that work is worship. Work can be converted into worship, and that itself can be a spiritual sadhana. It doesn't mean that Swami Trigunatitananda was not spending his time in Japan meditation. The whole night he could sit and meditate. Very early hours of the morning, he used to be the first to get up and sit for meditation. The meditation and work, both of them was side by side, it was going on. So not only work is worship for him, it was also work was as worship, and work and worship. All the three things, that is, work is worship, work as worship, and work and worship. All these three things Swami Trigunatitananda followed in his life. So here Swamiji's disciple continued, Sir, the other day I saw that Swami Trigunatita worshipped the photograph of Sri Ramakrishna in the press room before beginning to work, and he asked for your blessings for the success of the work. So, before starting the work, this is what is very much insisted for the spiritual practice for the household disciples also. Whenever Krishna also tells this in the Bhagavad Gita, before starting your work, pray to the God and tell him that you are doing whatever the work you are doing, all is the work of the God. I am working for the God. Then work itself will become worship. So Swami Trigunatitananda used to follow this. Every day he will keep a photograph of Sri Ramakrishna, pray to him, And also pray to Swami Vivekananda to bless him in the success of the work, and he will start his work. Swamiji, well, the master is our center. Each one of us is a ray of that light center. So Trigunatisa has started the work by worshipping the master. He did the right thing. Tell him when you go that I am exceedingly delighted with his work. Give him my loving blessings. Swami Tirunatithanandi edited and printed that magazine for 4 years. Then, since he was wanted for other works, he was relieved from that work, and someone other person took over that work. But then, what is the work he took up? At that time, Swami Yoganandaji passed away. Swami Yoganandaji was looking after Sri Sharada Devi. So looking after the burden of looking after Sri Sharada Devi came to him. So his devotion was unparalleled to Sri Sharada Devi. Once Sri Sharada Devi was going to the Jairambati in a bullock cart, and Swami Trigunatithanji was walking in front of the carriage as her bodyguard with a heavy stick on his shoulder. Suddenly, he saw a wide breach in the road made by a flood. At once realized that when the carriage came to the opening, it would either be overturned or receive a terrific jolt, not only disturbing the mother's sleep, but possibly hurting her physically. Immediately, he laid his large body in the breach and asked the driver to drive the vehicle over him. Luckily, Holy Mother awoke before this happened. She took in the situation and rebuked her disciple for his rashness. While returning from Jairambati, Trigunatithanji stopped at Vaidyavati and went to a hotel for a meal. Very interesting thing here. The owner told him that the rate was 6 paise per meal. The Swami said to him that he was a good eater and would be glad to pay extra for his meal. But the owner declined to receive any extra money from a monk. The Swami was hungry and began to eat his meal, mainly rice and dal. The waiter went on serving Trigunatita until there was no cooked rice and dal left in the hotel. The poor hotel keeper, approaching the Swami, said, Father, please leave now. I can't feed you anymore. You will not have to pay anything. Trigunatithanandi blessed the hotel keeper and left. He later greatly enjoyed narrating this incident. This had happened to him many times. Wherever he used to go, and even he can fast for days together and also eat the whole food, whatever is cooked, without any restriction. Both these capacities, Swami Trigunatita Nanji had it. Now, in 1902, that is the year of Swamiji's passing away. Before Swamiji passed away, he wanted, Swami Turiyanandaji was working in America. He was very much wanted to come back, mainly to see Swami Vivekananda. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen. He left America. It was a long tour drive. You see, he has to come by ship. It takes about 3 months. So on the way, he got the news that Swamiji had passed away. It was such a great shock for Swami Turiyananda. He could not digest it at all. After coming back to India, then he immersed himself fully in spiritual practices, giving up taking responsibility of any of the work side. But he used to teach to the monastic brothers. He used to lead a very austere life. It itself was a great example. Swami Turiyanja spends his life like that later. But Swami Tirunathitanandaji went to America in 1903 after the passing away of Swami Vivekananda, and he started a center in San Francisco in 1904. He was lecturing and spending times then, and also his lectures were so popular and demand was so much. In 1904, he started a center in 500 miles away from that place. In 1905, 1903, he started a center in Hollywood, where is Los Angeles, where is San Francisco, a big distance, but he was managing both. But after some time, when he could not, he wrote to Belur and it was two centers were separated, and one more Swami was sent to look after the Hollywood Center, that is the Los Angeles Center. Now, in 1905, Swami Tirunathitanandaji, his lectures were so popular, and especially the training of the monastics. Many young men joined the order, and the Americans used to train them all, and he felt there is a need for a separate temple for Sri Ramakrishna. And in 1905, Swami Tirunathitanandaji built a Hindu temple, and that temple, it became the first Hindu temple in America. Even today it exists because while building and consecrating time, he made a remark. Believe me, if there is the least tinge of selfishness in building this temple, it will fall. If it is Sri Ramakrishna's work, it will stand. His faith was so much. Even today the temple stands. San Francisco, those who go there, you can visit the temple and see the temple. And now, and that, not only that, the next year, that is, after building of the temple in 1904, in 1905, there was a big, terrible earthquake in San Francisco, and which destroyed much of San Francisco's buildings. And this is the only building that survived. And this is the first ever Hindu temple built in America. Now it is 115 years over, have passed, still it remains in the same way. And in his monastery, his way of teaching was something different. Always all the brahmacharis or the monks should be alert, and their mind must be focused on Sri Ramakrishna, on spiritual thoughts, whatever they are doing. So he was fond of putting his teachings on the brahmachari's rooms, in the monastic, wherever he gets a place, by writing on wall, and many of the sayings will be there. Even now, some sayings are all there. He will put boards. The board it will like this. The wordings will be, live like a hermit, but work like a horse. That will be one saying. Another saying, do it now. Another saying, watch and pray. Another saying, do or die, but you will never die. So these are the sayings he used to put, so that every brahmachari or Swami who passes through those sayings, again he will become very alert. So in Swami, he had a disciple who became a monk called Swami Atulananda. Swami Atulananda, he came to India and he serving Swami Turiyananda, he dies here. Now, when he writes in his reminiscences of eyewitness account how he found Swami Trigunathitananda in San Francisco. He writes, Swami Trigunathita was a man of austere type. When he first came to San Francisco, he fasted once for 3 days, maybe to accumulate power to carry on the work. He was a strict disciplinarian. Once on Sri Ramakrishna's birthday, he spent 15 hours in worship from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. and delivered 3 lectures, all without leaving the platform. He was a very jolly type of man and very active too. He encouraged others also to follow a tight routine. What is that tight routine? Meditation, study, work, and so on. At lectures, there would be no chairs on the platform. He had a desk only, and when speaking, he used to lean on it and speak. He will never sit and deliver lecture. He will stand behind a platform and he will lecture. He ran a bookstall and he himself kept the accounts. One day he found the account $5 short. He was worried, and for days together he worked, trying to make the account balance. But then at long last, he wrote at the bottom of the page, $5 short. However, let it go. In that way, he tallied the account. He would not take anybody's advice. Once he had to purchase a suit. He went to the market and the trade people sold him a cheap suit. When he came home, Mrs. Peterson said, "Oh, Swami, what have you done? It is the kind of thing that race track people wear. You cannot go out in this dress." Then a compromise was worked out in which the Swami was permitted to wear the suit only at home. Another day, he purchased a dark red color, put it on, and came home all the way, feeling quite proud of it. Seeing him with that collar, Mrs. Peterson exclaimed, "Oh, what have you done? These collars are used by gamblers. You cannot use it. I am going to hide it." Trigunatita had an undaunted personality. He boldly faced all the challenges of his life. In the afternoon, next to the monastic kitchen, there were several strings stretched across one end from the wall to the another. Dangling from these were the number of lifelike spiders of different sizes and kinds. The young members were curious about it. First they thought they were there simply as decoration, but later Trigunatitani revealed the mystery behind the spiders. Once, while bathing in the Ganges, he had been trapped by a swarm of water spiders. He had received such a shock that to overcome that phobia, or rather to make sure that it no longer existed, he hung up the artificial spiders where he could see them a number of times each day. So this is how he was doing it, and then he worked very hard, as I said, lecturing, going to different places, training the monastics and all. His end comes very sadly. On Friday, 25th December 1914, Trigunatitanandaji conducted the all-day Christmas service from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. This consisted of 3 lectures, 11 a.m., 3 p.m., and 6 p.m., chanting and singing, reading and exposition of the scriptures. It was a divine experience for those privileged to be present on that day. When the advent of Jesus Christ, an incarnation of God, was celebrated by a direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, another incarnation of God. The floral decorations, the illumination of Christ's picture, the fragrance of incense, the devotional songs and instrumental music, and the holy presence of the Swami created an uplifting atmosphere. As on the other occasion, the Swami did not leave the platform even for a moment during the whole day. How he mastered his physical ailments and made his pain-racked body endure the 15 hours only he could say. And his end comes like this. 2 days later, on Sunday afternoon, 27 December 1914, Trigunatita was lecturing from the podium of the Hindu temple in San Francisco. All of a sudden, a young man in the front threw a bomb onto the pulpit. There was an explosion, and a cloud of dense blue smoke obscured the platform. When the smoke cleared, it was found that that young man, a former student of Trigunatita named Louis Vauram, had been killed, and that the Swami had received several injuries. He was taken at once to the affiliated college's hospital. On the way of the hospital, the Swami inquired, "Where is Louis, poor fellow?" Sometime previously, Trigunatitan had observed the young man's unbalanced mental condition and had recommended that he find a job in the country where the surroundings would be nothing. Even in the midst of excruciating pain, the Swami's mind was filled with pity for his mentally ill student. So a madman sitting in the front row threw a bomb on the platform which exploded and it injured severely Swami, and the madman himself was killed on that. A number of devotees visited Trigunatitananda daily and reported his progress to the temple. In addition to regular nurses, a male attendant was appointed to lift and carefully move the Swami's heavy body. One nurse made a comment, "I have never seen such a calm, uncomplaining, and enduring patient in my life." From his hospital bed, the Swami asked Mrs. Peterson to arrange the repair of the damage to the temple. Accordingly, she collected the funds and his wishes were carried out. The doctor gave Trigunatitananda a high dosage of sleep medication to reduce his pain, and as a result, he was not always conscious. Although he received the best medical care, the infection that resulted from his wound could not be abated. On the afternoon of 9th January, the Swami told one of his young disciples that he would leave his body the next day, which was the birthday of Swami Vivekananda. These people used to decide themselves when to depart. On this occasion, he also mentioned another incident of one of the great Swamis, that is, there was Swami Atmananda. Atmananda was a disciple of Swami Vivekananda. So, as monastic disciple, he was staying in Madras, Chennai. And what happened, the last day came, then he told his, the doctor said he may not survive long. Then, no, at that time he was in Calcutta, Benumat. So all the monks gathered there, they went to see him and pay their last respects. Seeing all of them, Swami Atmanandaji looked at them and asked, "What is special today? Why have you all come?" They did not want to reveal what the doctor has said. How can they say you are not going to live long? Anyhow, Atmanandaji looking at them, he understood. Oh, because I am suffering, they think probably doctors have said that I may pass away anytime. That's why they have all come. So he made them all sit around his cot and went on talking about Swami Vivekananda. Because he was a direct disciple of Swamiji and he had a lot of reminiscences. He went on narrating them, and in the end, he said, Go back. Why you are all sitting here? Oh, you are all expecting me to pass away. How can you expect me to pass away? Now this is only this one, it was 1962. The next year, 1963, will be Swami Vivekananda's centenary year. Without seeing the centenary of my Guru, do you think I will pass away? The doctor doesn't know anything. Go. They were all surprised. They thought they understood. Oh, the Swami has understood what doctors have said to us. So they all went away. And Swami Atmanandaji did live for one more year. And in 1963, after the celebration of the centenary of Swami Vivekananda, a few months after that, Swami Atmanandaji gave up his body. So these great souls, they can leave their body whenever they like. Lord Yama has no hand over them. He has to wait for their decision. So this is how we see many of the great Swami's lives, we see that. That is another thing. So once they are realized, when they have become Brahman, where is death for them? Death is only to that external body. So when that body dies and they don't bother at all. They are least attached to the body. So this said in the Bhagavad Gita also. The body comes and goes, but the soul, the Atman, never goes. It is ever present. So Swami Trigunatitanaji also, he selected the day that was the birthday of Swami Vivekananda to give up his body, and he gave up his body in America. But the thing is, he was such a devoted worker of Sri Ramakrishna, disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. He came to this world in order to fulfill the work of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna left lot of work to be done, and he knew that these boys will do it. That's why he had brought them with him, and he knew as soon as they came to him, what all the work they will have to do it, and he kept them all under the guidance of Swami Vivekananda. He made Swami Vivekananda the leader, and in fact, once he was in the monastery, so under the guidance of Swami Vivekananda in Baranagar, one day he went away, leaving the ashrama without informing, telling that I am going on to somebody, he said, I am going on a pilgrimage and also I will do spiritual sadhana. Swamiji, after hearing that, he became very much worried, and he started weeping the next morning. He said, you see, look, Sri Ramakrishna has left all these boys under my care. And these boys, why should they hear me? Each is an independent monk. Each has come to this world to realize God, and they have their own way. Not that everybody should follow the same lesson, but if something happens to this boy, I cannot leave. I will not be keeping the words of Sri Ramakrishna, that I will take care of all these boys. So, unfortunately, he went, and again, within a short time, he came back back to the Baranagar monastery. And then, when the Baranagar monastery came back, all were very happy, especially Swamiji. Then Swamiji told, why did you go like this? And then Trigunatitanaji said, what is the use of this life? Unless and otherwise I realize God, then what is the use of my staying? Then Swamiji says, Arey, what will happen? Sri Ramakrishna is taking care of you. Do you think he will not give you realization? All of us have to finish his work. Then he himself will come and take us. There is nothing to worry. Then when he went and came back, within a very short time, they were all very happy. And as soon as he came, Master Mahasaya was there. He first meets Master Mahasaya. Then seeing Trigunatitanaji, always naturally worried. So this boy, where he goes, what he does and all. So Master Mahasaya becomes very happy, and he makes him sit nearby and asks him, where have you been all these days? Everybody has been so worried about you. Have you seen the other brothers? When did you come? Then Trigunatitanaji, just now. Yes, I have seen them. You left a note saying that you are going to Vrindavan. We were terribly worried about you. How far did you go? Trigunatitanaji laughingly, he says, only as far as Konnagar. Both of them laughed loudly. Master Mahasaya, sit down. Tell me all about it. Where did you stop first? Trigunatitanaji. At the Dakshineshwar temple garden. I spent one night there. I am smiling. What is Hazara is present mood? Prasanna. Hazra asked me, what do you think of me? Both laughs. Then I am smiling. What did you say? Trigunatitani. I said nothing. Master Master. Then Trigunatitani. Then he asked me whether I had brought tobacco for him. Both again laughs. Then Trigunatitani. He wanted to stay there and serve on him. Both laugh. Then where did you go next? By degrees I got to Konnagar. I spent the night in the open. I intended to proceed further and asked some gentlemen whether I could procure enough money there for a railway ticket to the up country. What did they say? They said, you may get a rupee or so, but who will give you the whole fare? Both of them laughed again. What did you take with you? Oh, 1 or 2 pieces of cloth and a picture of the master. I did not show that picture to anybody. Rakal was seated in Kali Prasad Tapaswi's room. Kali Tapaswi, Swami Abhedanandi. Prasanna sat near him. M2 was there. Rakal, where did you want to go? Running away from here. Here you are in the company of holy men. Would it not be foolish to run away from there thus? Where will you find another like Narendra? Trigunatitanji then says, no, my parents live in Calcutta. I am afraid of being drawn by their love. That is why I wanted to flee to a distant place. Rakal, can our parents love us as intensely as Guru Maharaj, meaning Sri Ramakrishna? What have we done for him to deserve all this love? Why was he so eager for our welfare in body, mind, and soul? What have we done for him to deserve all this? Prasanna, don't you yourself feel like running away from here? Rakan, yes. No one then. I have a fancy to spend a few days on the bank of Narmada. Tarak and Prasanna were talking in the room. He too was trying to persuade Prasanna to leave there. Prasanna, I have neither jnana nor prema. What have I achieved in this world? Tarak, Swami Shivananda. It is no doubt difficult to attain jnana, but how can you say you have no love, prema? Prasanna, I have not yet wept for God. How can I say I have prema? What have I realized in all these days? Tarak, but you have seen the master. And why do you say that you have no jnana? What part of jnana are you talking about? Jnana means knowledge. Knowledge of what? Certainly of God. But I'm not even sure of the existence of God. Yes, that is true. According to Jnani, there is no God. Him to himself. The master used to say that those who seek God pass through the state that Prasanna is now experiencing. In that state, sometimes one doubts the very existence of God. Even though Sri Ramakrishna had given them everything, assured them that everybody will have Brahma Jnana. But Sri Ramakrishna's work was to be done. Even he held in Swami Vivekananda in his control. He made him work and to spread the message of our ancient wisdom. He trained them, kept them, but every one of them had the realization. All that they wanted was 24 hours they wanted Sri Ramakrishna to be in their presence. Sri Ramakrishna could have done that, but who will do his work then? That's why once in a while he used to give them some visions, some spiritual experiences, and go to them to do the work of the mission. So Sri Ram, specifically, that is why Swamiji says Sri Ramakrishna and his mission are not two different things. Now Sri Ramakrishna exists in the form of the Ramakrishna order. Everywhere he is present, everywhere he is there. But the thing is, so serve the order, serve the mission, you will be serving directly Sri Ramakrishna himself. That is the message Swamiji had left, not only for their disciples, but every member of the Ramakrishna order, whether they are lay members, whether they are monastics. We should remember Sri Ramakrishna is living now in the form of the Ramakrishna order. Serving the Ramakrishna or any forum is a direct service of Sri Ramakrishna himself. They should constantly remember and follow his advice and do spiritual practice, at the same time work for the Ramakrishna Math and Ramakrishna Mission. Thank you very much. Next time we shall take up some other life, monastic life of another disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you.
Night.
இல்ல கட்டாக இல்லையா லைவ் இருக்கு எதிர்ச்சிக்கலாமா